Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Umoja Fine Arts. It's such an honor to have you here. I'm Ian Grant, CEO and curator of Umoja Fine Arts. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Umoja Fine Arts. It's such a pleasure to have you here on this beautiful day. We know we outside, a little bit of storm, but you're still here, so we want to thank you. Thank you for being here at Umoja Fine Arts, where we're the largest publisher and distributors of African American art in the Midwest. We have the show going on right now that's called Umoja Art Basel. This is reassembled from Miami, where we actually gave the show in Miami with the world. Presenting our artists on the world stage. So with that, we have Marcel Stewart, who's going to talk about his artwork, his experience in Miami, and he's also put together a raffle so someone could win one of his originals that's worth $3,500 today. My name again is Ian Grant, and we look forward to this artist talk. Thank you.
And Marcel, I'm going to start with you, and I would like for you to tell the audience, who is Marcel?
Okay, well, first and foremost, definitely, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and just a little bit of background on me as an artist, as well as just an overall male, a father figure, and a husband. I'm someone who definitely takes pride in my art, but not only my art, my lifestyle. I try to stay on somewhat of a narrow path without straying away, and I think that comes with a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and nonetheless a lot of organizational skills. It definitely was a rough patch getting there, but I think that's what helps us all learn on how to be non-complacent but yet still organized in that same fashion.
Okay, well, wonderful. So what type of artist are you?
Oh, I've been asked that question a number of times now. People can kind of see it pretty much obviously. I'm an abstract artist. I'm an abstract expressionist. I've been called an abstract lyricist. But prior to that, I studied many different art styles, whether that had been collage, watercolors. I primarily sketched when I was younger and did portraiture. I did a lot of landscapes, letter blocks, things of that nature. And what that ultimately led me to was abstractions. Because, you see so many things placed in the world and in reality, and you begin to depict those things in your own reality by either replicating them or doing your closest representation to that physical image. But what I do now in my abstracts is I showcase the world throughout my own lens. So I see so many things happening, whether that be political issues, whether that be society issues, or just normal day-to-day things that we all go through as humans. But I like to showcase everything through a positive lens as opposed to some of the negative things that we do see.
Well, that's good, because there's a lot of negative out there. So
Yes.
Your positive brings more positive to the world, and that's what we need in this world. So when did you realize, because it seems like just from you talking, like artists, you're just so passionate about it, but when did you realize that your passion could turn into a career?
Honestly, I didn't realize the career aspect of it until, after I got after I really dove into it, The passion is really what led me to a career in art. But just like how you had said, there was a passion from it from day one. My great-grandmother, which is the mother of my mother's mother, so I used to call her great-grandma. She was always instilling homework and art in me, and the first art project that I had was literally a plate that you eat off of with a smiley face drew on it. But from there on, I always felt creativity. I made green pancakes in kindergarten, and things like that. It just sparks creativity. My grandmother here taught me how to sew.
Okay.
So I designed,
you know how to sew?
Yeah, I designed pairs of pants and things like that.
Okay.
But it was constant brewing of creativity, and it showcased a light to me that I never knew was inside of me. And, you know, from there on is where I really started to focus in on what my true passion was, but then I strayed away, you know, and some people say you don't want to betray your gift, or you don't want to turn away from what your purpose is. I feel like it was, you know, a God-given gift, you know, for me to be able to paint, and not only paint, but paint an image where people can feel something spiritually, you know, feel something from their soul and say, I understand this artist. I understand this image. I understand where I was last year based on the things that I see here. You know, it's not anything of representation. Like I said, I'm not painting an image of a face. I'm not painting a landscape of a field where it's two trees or so forth and so on. It's actually an image of me and who I am and what I've been through. And a lot of people can relate to some of those same things, you know, whether that be growing up in a single parent household, whether that be going through struggle and having to face adversity, or just overall, you know, success in their current role of life, you know, whether that's a success as a mother, you know, success as an employee, or just success as the leader of the household.
So would you say some of your paintings at that moment, like I'm feeling this, you know, sometimes people may feel a certain way and they have an outlet. Some people may go to the gym, some people may go for a walk. Do you find yourself picking up the paintbrush, like I'm feeling this and I have to let it out, and do you, and your emotions?
I don't think necessarily my paintings work in that nature to where it's proverbial outlet, so to speak. I think it's more so me relaying thoughts and visions. Things are poured into me daily from a higher power, and it's impossible to create these without that energy, you know.
Right.
So as these things come to me, these ideas rather, or visions, I sketch them out. And my wife will tell you, my daughter will tell you, there's just like scribbles on things, right, all over. And what they represent are this sporadic and spontaneous thoughts that I have about structure and how we fit into a specific structure, right? It's more than just having a surface to put your energy on and say, okay, I'm done with today. Let me just let it all out.
Okay.
Because some people say they see abstract and they see it as spaghetti threw on the wall and just trying to figure out what sticks. But when I create my abstract, like how I told you all, it comes from a background of creating figurative art, where you have to make something look like something else. So when I create the abstract artwork, I like to create something that the viewers can understand. I like to create a narrative and say, okay, you know, this is something that actually happened. This is a current event, or this is what's the future to come. I've even started to tell the narrative as this is a reality that we haven't seen yet. So someone is giving me this, a higher power is giving me this, and I have the ability not only to put it in a tangible form, but also give it back to the world. And that's the real true gift.
Okay. So would you say that's what makes your abstract art unique and special?
In a way, yes. In a way, yes. It's like I said, the spiritual feel that you get, the way that a lot of people are connected to my works. I think that's one big piece of what makes all of my work unique. But as far as the creative features, I think I use a lot of vibrant colors, a lot of contrasting colors that make paintings vibrate. Along with that, I always include tons of heavy body textures, which visually makes my paintings different as you look at all of them. And then along with that, beyond the textures and the color patterns, there are always about 20 to 30 layers in each of my works. Wow. And what that does is just provide, you know, a window for my viewers to look through. And I like to call it a window of positivity. Just growing up as a young child on the east side of Detroit in elementary school. We finally moved to the west side, but you know, on the east side, you know, you seldomly seen positive things, and you search for those positive things, especially as a young male, right? But you see out your window a liquor store. You see maybe an alcoholic, or just a burnt down car, or an abandoned field. and you wonder where's the positivity. So I think what makes my artwork different is people can instantly see the positive side of life, you know, from a gloomy day just by looking at an image.
That's true, because as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at these two images here, and you know that it's really very striking and very positive.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How could you not want it on your walls? Really. So you seem to be very talented in more than one area.
Thank you.
What makes you stick with the art?
Yes, that's a great question. In high school, I battled that challenge with myself. I felt like I was at war with myself.
Okay.
It was a tough battle, and even before I was married to my wife, I still felt like I was fighting that battle.
Okay.
And it was literally a battle between academics, athletics, and art. And art was my true love.
Okay.
But there was no one that looked like me that created art that I knew. There was no inspiration to say, keep going in this art lane and see what happens. Or here are 3 individuals that are successful, or here are 3 individuals that look like you that can do it, or here's an arena that you could flourish in just as a child and maybe inspire others. And by not seeing that is what led me back to other routes, such as athletics and academics. And understanding that I wasn't able to really flourish in those, it led me back to my true calling, and my true purpose is to really do art, but not in the sense of what I was doing it in by drawing something that's already been created, so to speak, something that's already in God's image. I felt like I needed to create something fresh that people haven't seen yet, even haven't appreciated. So really understanding what Black art means to the world and what Black art means to our culture, I think that's the true driving force behind it all, because it's not appreciated to where it should be in modern day, whether that be in museums, whether that be in galleries or in people's homes. But to be able to say, this abstract work, right, that is predominantly done by Caucasian women, is done by an African American male, where, you know, some art has started in hieroglyphics. I think it's traveled a long way, and we really need to understand what's being pulled from this and where the energy is coming from and what's the narrative that's trying to be told.
Well, you definitely a rarity in with your abstract art. I definitely can say that, and I can tell you just knowing you and first starting to see, you know, with your artwork and where you've grown, this is really just the beginning for you. And I know that you attract the younger clientele.
Yes.
Which is good, because then you educate them. So I watch you and I see when the younger people come into the gallery, you make sure you educate them and teach them. And then before you know it, they're leaving with your artwork because they understand. So that's
and I think one big thing, like how you had mentioned, me being kind of versed in a few different things.
Yes.
I do try to incorporate that in my artwork so people can kind of see a different side of me as opposed to just the artwork. So when I spoke on academics, I was really involved in math, and I enjoy math a lot. So when you look at my works, you see a lot of geometric shapes, and that was the biggest thing in math that I loved. And those geometric shapes not only represent the arithmetic of things, but also balance, true balance, and understanding that form and lines and hard corners is what gives us feeling.
Yes.
You can visually feel something just from looking at a straight edge or looking at a round circle. And from that, I also want to mention, you know, athletics. It causes you to have a strict sense of discipline and adhere to mentors or adhere to the people around you and understand what's going on so you can kind of soak it in and become better and not really turn away criticism. So I try to take those and incorporate it in my art by a number of ways.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that you did see people that looked like you, or you didn't have the mentors, but yet you kept going.
Yeah,
you kept going.
And I was really driven back to that and to really say, okay, I've tried a number of things and none of them worked out. And after I want to say 5 years of trying things,
Yes.
you know, and not having any inspiration and being kind of depressed about the art, I started back drawing, and I drew a portrait to get back into the groove, right?
Okay.
And my first portrait was of my wife,
Okay.
and then my second portrait was of my mom, which is in the back, and then my third portrait was of my younger sister.
Okay.
And that was my goodbye to portraits and my
Okay.
hello to painting,
Okay.
abstract.
So
And
who has that piece of artwork?
those portraits, each of the individuals.
Oh, you did individual ones.
Yeah, but the
Okay,
individual
so,
ones.
and
Yep.
they-
So
okay, they
my
all
wife
have
has
their own.
hers, and so on
Okay.
and so forth. Yep.
Okay.
And you know, from that, they were able to see and witness the blossoming
Yes.
of that creativity, because to me, it showed me, okay, don't stop here. That was the starting point of don't stop here.
Okay.
And the continuation of it are those people.
Okay.
You know, so my wife, she watched me go outside literally to start this journey, because I didn't know where abstract started at. So I physically started it first, and then I came back to the books and the knowledge of the old masters and understood, okay, what triggers them to think in a minimalistic way. Minimalistic meaning, why would someone put a single dot on a canvas and sell it? What draws that thought, you know?
Yes.
And it's more so understanding, you know, whether it's space, whether it's spatial awareness, or whether it's marketability, or whether it's a boldness of not wanting to create something that's already been created, right? And being able to go against the critic and say, hey, I want to bring forth something different because I am different. I think different, and
Okay.
I am who I am.
So, looking around your artwork, and with this exhibit, do you have a particular piece of art that's your favorite? Or do you believe, or even that's kind of tough? Is that
For me,
Yeah.
for me, yes, I have a few. I'll name two.
Okay.
I'll name three. So starting with this one is titled Water Dance. And a collector in Boston, Massachusetts actually helped me name this piece. And it is all about, you know, the environment. It comes out of my environmental series. So I created about 5-6 different pieces inside of this series, and they're continuing to go on. But as you can see, the drips resemble rain. And it's in an inverted way where they're going up as opposed to down. And then you have a lot of splatters around the surface here. But nonetheless, you also have layers of texture. And that's why this is my favorite piece, because you really have to visually peel back all of the color and all of the layers to see what's really going on.
you just said favorite? So that is your favorite. You said,
It is.
You weren't sure. You just said this is why this is my favorite.
It is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
It is one of my favorites. I would say color-wise, this is my favorite because
It is. I see why.
of the balance in it, you know, and the way I strategically placed things, but made it look so abstract, if you will.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I wanted to purchase your art, what would I want to look for? What would make me want? I mean, it's beautiful, but and you're explaining it, but you know, as far as I guess also like pricing the artwork, and how will I know? How would I know as a
Yes. Anybody
as a collector?
I would say walking into the gallery or any place, right, that offers original artwork, you want to be educated about who you're coming to see and who you're coming to be educated about. So a few people, I believe you said you came in from the Metro Times article that you read. Met this young lady at the last event, and then I have some family members here as well. So you guys kind of know a little bit of background about the artists to encourage you to come out. But with that, you also want to understand mediums. So I'm painting in acrylic on canvas, but I'm also using Belgian linen on some pieces.
What did you just say?
Belgian linen. So that's what this piece is here. And I expose some of the fabric so you can see the Belgian linen and the contrast and how that actually is going with the frame that I chose. But I also have some pieces on masonite board as opposed to any fabric, and that's like this piece here. And it also has textures, but you can see how they kind of resemble a different pattern as far as the colorization goes. Mm-hmm. And another thing that you kind of want to focus on is not only experience in the marketplace, in the art marketplace, and in the art world, but you want to look at how versed that artist is and how that artist is continuously ranging, not only ranging their artwork, but also ranging their wingspan, for lack of a better term. So I've had the pleasure of working alongside Umoja Fine Arts, not only as an artist, but also as a gallery manager. Mm-hmm. And that's allowed me to embark on different endeavors, such as, go to Miami Art Basel and different other events that allows my artwork to be seen plentiful by a number of collectors. And no, it doesn't bring an immediate purchase, but it does open up the sense of awareness of what my art is, because that's what we strive to understand. It's like a secret society, mm-hmm. the art world, right? Yeah. Yes. But I feel like my job is to create something so obscene and obscure for people to ask, what is this? Yes. And what is this art world? Yes. And I feel like I have the smile, the charisma to welcome everybody in and say, hey, you don't have to be afraid. Yes. Because I was at once.
Yes. Like I said, I watch you and people come in, you take the time with them, you explain the artwork, and by the time you do that, people are like,
And sometimes the prices, they are intimidating, but it is an understanding of, like how I had said, when you add in the combination of 30 layers of paint, when you add in the combination of the time taking to research what's going on behind the pieces that's being created, and understanding that really these thoughts are once in a lifetime, and the image lives on forever, and the spirit inside of that image lives on forever. A story that I share with my wife is, I'm 31 years old, and beyond investment value, of course the artwork has gone up in value, but by the time I'm 60 years old, 70 years old, and continuously painting, my paintings themselves will be soulless, meaning that the artwork will remain as vibrant, even if not in colors. It'll remain as energetic. It may change styles as I change my mindset about a lot of things, but it will remain me. And that's what we have to know. But once I'm off of the face of the earth, there won't be any more of these jewels or these gems to truly cherish. That's what I really try to push across to individuals, for them to realize, because it seems like every other culture has picked up on that, and the things that we are dropping by the wayside as African Americans is truly a shame.
Yeah, you're right. And you spoke about like the price points, and you mentioned about this artist that may have just put a dot on a piece of canvas.
Yes.
But yet that artwork sells for $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, $200,000, the value. And so to me, as a collector, and me seeing this beautiful art, like I would be grabbing your artwork up like crazy right now.
And I think it's a sense of, okay, I know Marcel. I don't know him as an artist. And sometimes that's it, but then sometimes I don't understand what this image is. And I need someone to really explain to me how to match this image with that price point. And I don't think that's what we should be looking for as individuals, because it's not a sense of I can't afford it. And what I learned about that, it's a sense of I can't not afford it. Because if you end up really truly missing out on the value of everything, it's not necessarily that you would have to purchase it, but if you miss out on the value of what I'm presenting as a mindset, then that's the true failure there. And nonetheless, as far as the purchase process, I do like to say that there are a number of ways to acquire art. So I was speaking with a few younger individuals, and just asking them, what did you think about the gallery or an art gallery before you met me and I told you a few processes? Yes. And they said, oh, I could never afford art, I could never put anything in my living room like how you have in your living room. But in reality, I acquire my art in a most simplistic form. Some of my first pieces were $100. I own over 30 original artworks that aren't by me, and I acquired them by going to art fairs, by going to art parks, by going to social clubs that I'm a part of. And by seeing all of that, it exposed me to what's in the marketplace and who artists are. Because we all have different emotions, we all paint for different reasons, we all come from different backgrounds. But to see that applied is what really drives the force of, wow, I see what this is truly worth.
Yes, that's true. And really, if we really think about it, I mean, us as females, now we'll go out here and we'll splurge on ourselves and we'll get that designer bag or shoes that's $3,000, $4,000 that you only carry so many times. Yet, sometimes we have to put it in perspective. But yet we can get this piece of artwork that's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 that's going to go up in value, and the way you're going, you know, it just, to me, it just makes sense. And it's not, art isn't even just about, it's also, there's this investment part of it, and that's what some people don't realize.
And to that point, before we take a break, I just want to say there is a collector of the famous Paul Goodnight, right? Internationally acclaimed artist, all around the world collected. And it's an honor to even be showing with him. But this is his art here, right in the middle. And to know that he has collectors all around the world, they have been collecting for generations and passing that artwork down generation to generation. So now they're saying, what's left for me? And lo and behold, the artwork that they pick up next is my artwork, because they can see the next generation of art blooming. So to be a part of that is one honor, but also to see my artwork, right, going into this generational heirloom, I think is a whole nother element of success, because I think that's where we all need to be as a people.
Okay. Do anyone in the audience own a Marcel?
If you
Stewart?
own one, go ahead, raise your hand.
Raise your hand. And who owns it? Okay. All right. We have two ladies. Anyone want to say anything about it? Or what was it like when you first got the first one?
I didn't come to this gallery thinking that I was going to buy anything.
Okay.
But when Marcel explained the meaning behind one piece, I had to have it.
Okay.
I did, you know. And the same with the second piece I bought. It just, I don't know. It just
Yeah, you just
resonated.
started collecting.
Yes.
It's one, now you're on to two, and it may be a third or fourth.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
Well,
all
thank you.
meaning.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. That's
Yes.
wonderful. So we know that this month is International Women's
We'll
Month.
take a break real quick.
Okay, but we just wanted to honor you, and I think I just wanted to say something real quick, because you spoke a lot about your mother, your grandmother, and your wife.
Yes.
So those were some women that really helped.
Yes. And they helped me get to where I'm at today. Like I said, when I started painting in the backyard, it was my wife that said, no, I like it. She didn't even see the canvas when I got done. It's like, no, I like it. Keep going. So it's things like that, right, that'll push you, because a man can be digging a hole, and if a woman says keep digging, he'll keep digging, you know. But if she says, what are you back there doing? The man will feel like an idiot sometimes. So sometimes it is that constant push from his support system that he has.
Good.
And then my mom, you know, raising me to be the man that I am today,
Yes.
giving me the outlets that I have. I think that was truly in help, although she had the life that she had, you know. And my grandmother here, like I said, all the way from sewing pants, you know, and being here today right next to me. So it's been an incredible journey and an incredible sense of inspiration and motivation. I'm honored to truly have you three in my life.
Amen. That's a blessing.
Yes, I'm here with one of my pieces. It's titled Liberation, The Rise from Oppression. And what it showcases is African American culture, Afrocentric culture. It is a piece derived strictly from the colors used in an African kente cloth. Kente cloths have always piqued my interest for a number of reasons. primarily because of the patterns inside of a kente cloth. They're very, how would you say, repetitive. And then also they have a lot of interesting colors, not only just the green, the black, and the yellow that we always see. But I did a little research and I figured out what those colors meant, and that's what made me go ahead and create this piece. So you see colors like yellow, which is really representative of gold. And I put those colors in triangles to dignify and signify pyramids. Pyramids are one of the strongest standing structures. Also, I put in colors like green, and I put those colors in more so square shapes, which are symbolizing land, nature, and nurturing. And then you also have colors like the reds here, which symbolize strength, but the strength within the flesh, so you know, your bodily strength. And then you also have colors like black, which symbolizes your strength within your spirit. The color white symbolizes purity and being able to wash away everything that isn't pure. And then last but not least, you have blue. And the blue just represents peace, overall peace. So I'd love if everyone came in, viewed the piece, asked me more about the piece. There are tons of texture throughout the piece that is constantly repetitive, like how I had mentioned in the kente cloth. This just is an overall display of my research, my understanding, as well as, you know, some of the things that piqued my interest in my childhood. Once again, my name is Marcel Stewart from Detroit, Michigan. Hope to see you here at Umoja Fine Arts soon.
To buy another painting and to go in my dining room, and this is it matches perfectly. Oh my gosh. And then when I saw his signature that says 2020, I got married in 2020, so I'm like, it just brings everything home, you know, and so I want to take this home.
All right.
So,
Well,
yes.
thank you. We appreciate it. And like I said, since this piece is titled Expressive Introvert, I do want to also say this is the first piece that I ever published in Umoja Fine Arts. The collector of this is actually out in North Carolina right now. So the artwork does travel around the world. And I'm just ecstatic. So thank you all. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it.
Aww. Happen in a little bit, but I also wanted to share with the group, and some of them may not know, but Marcel has been on Channel 2, Channel 7. He's been in the Metro Times, the Oakland Press. What else? Visit Detroit.
Yeah,
Black, yep, BLAC, yep, that magazine. And, you know, like I said, he just came back from Miami, got a lot of exposure there. So that was really, really wonderful. So Marcel, it's going to be on you and what you want to do as far as
This piece,
there's
yeah.
something behind here, and we're very curious what that may be.
Yeah, without a doubt about it. And I just want to touch on what you said about all of the publications.
Yes.
I definitely want to make it known every artist does not have the honor to be in all of those publications, because it is a lot of hard work. Just like how it's a lot of hard work, feels like a million steps sometimes to create a beautiful art piece. But that's the same thing for the advertising and the promotion. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for those types of things, some of these people that are here, I wouldn't have never even met. So I'm thankful not only to the publications, but more than anything to the gallery that houses my artwork. The marketing team behind me that continuously pushes me while I paint and says, okay, Marcel, I'll take this one. Let's push it out, you know, and let's develop, you know, a XYZ strategy behind it, because I see your thought process. I agree with the theory, and you're a wonderful artist. Continuously, it happens repetitively, and I'm very appreciative of it. So yes, the being on news stations and being on TV and being in magazines, it is an honor. But I think the true honor is having a team around you to say you're a great team member, you know, and continuously helping others out.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I do want to unveil this piece, and I think this is the perfect time to say it, with it being International Women's Month and International Women's Day being on Wednesday, on March 8th. I think that in America in specific, right, there are a lot of inequalities for women, and it's been happening for the last few decades. But there also have been peaks that we cannot just wipe behind and put behind the curtain. So some of the peaks that I'll mention before I unveil it are some political peaks, you know, but also some valleys that we have seen, which are some struggles and some obstacles, are economic inequalities, you know, political inequalities, as well as, you know, leadership inequalities that have been, you know, kind of pushed down on women. So without further ado, I'd like to unveil and reveal the piece, Peaks and Valleys.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So now this piece, like how I had said, it contains tons of texture. There's layering that's being built up. And now that I've done that so many times and I understand the technical aspect of my artwork, I know from really the base layer that I want it to be very spontaneous. Because as a journey of a woman, and I kind of witnessed this from my mother, like I said, in a single parent household, she was very sporadic, very spontaneous in what she did, and a little bit all over the place to get where she wanted to go.
That's right.
And that's what these textures are. They're everywhere, just kind of dancing and moving all the way upward. But also you see symbolizations of mountains.
Yes, yes.
And those mountains are the mountains that we have to climb to get where we want to go. And the theory that me and Ian had spoke on when he mentored me is he said that everyone will reach a peak. And as a woman, right, in the corporate world especially, you can reach a peak and you say, okay, I've become, let's just say, a manager, for instance. But my next step, I want to be a director. So you go down in the valley a little bit, you study, maybe you even go to school, you do what you have to do to get to that next step. So you go down in the valley, but then you come back up and now you're a director. But then the next step is I want to hit another peak because I feel so capable, just like my counterpart that's a male. But that next peak may happen to be a CEO of operations or a CFO. But sometimes there's a glass ceiling in the corporate world that won't allow women in America to reach that next level.
Yes.
And I've seen it not only in my mom's life, but also in all of the corporate industries that I've worked in. And it's a door that can't even be knocked on by a woman to say, hey, let me in. And I think it's been going on since you could smoke cigarettes in the corporate industry. And they'd say, okay, what is this woman even bringing up an idea for? And it's a shame because not only is that an inequality to women, but the mindset of that is an inequality to society. And it degrades us as humans to say, okay, this person should be treated unequal because of who they are and not what they represent. So inside this piece, Beyond the Mountain depictions that you see, you also see certain points of declining. And the declining lines are lines that are diagonal, which go from, let's say, this way and this way on the orange. I want to find another one here. It's kind of hard from this angle. Here's one here. And there's only one up here for a reason and a few down here. But with that, I want to state and want to be very clear about it. You will have down points when you first start off. But as you begin to progress and you go on this incline that you see on most of these lines that are strategically placed, it shows a constant incline as you rise. A constant incline. No matter how hard the struggle is, no matter how hard the fight is, you keep going, you keep rising, you keep jumping over obstacles, and you'll reach that next peak.
All right.
From below. So although this is a positive kind of structure where the white is the mountain, this part is the whole mountain, where you can see the true peak here.
Yes, you can.
So the white is no longer the peak. This is the true peak.
All right.
Everything that you've been through. So I want to say, first and foremost, thank you as my grandmother for instilling a lot of the art in my life. You know, it touches my heart dearly, Grandma. And then thank you, Mom, you know, for putting people in my life and around me to help me out with this. I want to say thank you to my wife, you know, watching me do all of the senseless things I was doing. Thank you to my daughter for saying, hey, Dad, blue on the sides. And, of course, thank you to Tangi. Without this person here, without Tangi, I wouldn't have my home, you know, to house my daughters, or house my daughter, and house my wife. And also, you know, Tangi is a part of the gallery. She's the principal of this operation, and it's exponential with some of the things that she can do. You never want to put a woman down, because without you all, there would be no us.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you.